Welcome. Let's take a look at our top story. As the United States continues to be the worst affected country in the world, President Donald Trump has now announced that he will likely dismantle the coronavirus task force. The Mike Pence-led task force has been key to the administration's response to the pandemic, but Trump says that they will now look at a different group as the country looks at reopening. However, Dr. Anthony Fauci and Dr. Deborah Birx has said that they will continue to remain as medical experts for the administration.
Restriction is separate. That was whether or not we wanted to go into it.
So I think that as far as the task force, Mike Pence and the task force have done a great job, but we're now looking at a little bit of a different form, and that form is safety and opening, and we'll have a different group probably set up for that.
Are you saying mission accomplished?
No, not at all. The mission accomplished is when it's over.
But even as Trump looks at dismantling his task force, an ousted government official has claimed that top U.S. health officials ignored his warnings about the virus. Rick Bright, the ousted director of a U.S. agency, has filed a whistleblower's complaint, saying that he had warned about the virus as early as January, but only faced retaliation. Meanwhile, U.S. states are now slowly reopening, lifting their strict stay-at-home restrictions. More than 100 state parks, trails and boating sites have reopened across the state of Washington. However, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo believes that opening up the economy comes at a human cost. Recently, two coronavirus models projected a grim rise in the number of daily deaths in the U.S. as social distancing measures are being relaxed.
The faster we reopen, the lower the economic cost. But the higher the human cost, because the more lives lost. That, my friends, is the decision we are really making.
As the U.S. death toll keeps surging, New York, which is the epicenter of the outbreak in the U.S., is storing bodies in refrigerated trucks. This comes as morgues and funeral homes in the state are struggling to deal with the surge in dead bodies. Now, for more on this, our correspondent Jagruti Dave gets us a report from Washington, D.C. Listen in.
Now, the Trump administration is trying to send the message clearly that the United States is ready to open. The president visited a mask manufacturing facility in Arizona today. It's the first time he left the White House in weeks, and clearly was sending the message. And he said that the country needs to reopen. He is saying these words of optimism whilst there are still concerns by health experts, business leaders and people about the country potentially reopening too soon. You have places like Texas where they are opening nail salons and barbershops, but they have seen a recent spike in cases despite a downward trajectory of cases in April. So there are concerns about a second wave happening. And at the background of all of this, the president has said and the vice president have both said that the administration will be looking to disband the coronavirus task force in the coming weeks. The vice president gave the indication of early June as the time where the transition would be taking place. They were keen to say that the work that was being done by the coronavirus task force would continue to be done by government agencies. And Mike Pence did also mention that Dr. Deborah Birx would continue to be a part of the government's efforts, of the administration's efforts to contain the coronavirus task force. But there are concerns that, that the federal government is moving perhaps too soon, too quickly ahead to a reopening phase when there are still concerns about the number of cases and the number of fatalities across the country.